We still have our guest, Graeme Godfrey of Passionate About Business, in the studio with us. And you've been telling us all about your fascinating methodology, and in particular your unconventional methods, by your own admission, of how you treat, do you call them clients, patients?
Yeah, no, I coach clients. I coach, lots of different types of people.
Well, one thing that you mentioned a little earlier on, which we simply can't let you get away with, is you said that I might tell you about an unusual story about lampposts. And that was all I got from you. So I've absolutely no idea what this is.
Okay, just remind me later to tell you about the creative mind, because I'd like to just share something with you about how you can overcome anxiety pretty quickly. And it's a good tool to use. I'd like to share that. So lampposts. So, okay, when I was younger, I was bullied like you. I was bullied pretty badly, actually, and at one point it got to a stage where I was beaten up so badly on the train that, you know, it really started to affect me, and I couldn't get back on the train again. But I never really, as a youngster, I didn't have a lot of money. I used to clean cars to make money, but that wasn't enough, and I couldn't go to a therapist because in those days, it sort of wasn't that acceptable to go to a therapist. Anyway, I decided...
Regrettably, I think to a lot of people, even in this day and age, it's not acceptable to go to the therapist, but I find staggering, but let's not dwell on that.
So I decided, I thought to myself, I must have been maybe 13 or 14 at the time, and I decided, right, who can I go and speak to where I can download everything I need to say, and they just listen? So I was walking down my road, and I walked into a lamppost. And I thought, physically, or just... Yeah, I just wasn't. I was walking with my hands in my pockets, and I just wasn't looking. I just walked into a lamppost, and I said sorry to the lamppost. This is a bit like Wilson from Castaway with Tom Hanks, and that lamppost became my friend, and I could go to that lamppost, and I could just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk to that lamppost, and I could get everything out.
Now, do you know what? To anyone listening, and I'm going to take real issue with anyone listening to this who thinks that sounds ridiculous, because do you know what? I don't think it does. Because what you've done is you've actually found your way of verbalizing, you've found your way of actually releasing whatever het-up energy you have.
Yeah.
That's obviously getting to you. Yeah. And unfortunately, sort of, for whatever reason, making your life unhappy. So for you, if the lamppost was your release mechanism, then I say bravo for finding it.
I mean, I haven't really shared this with anyone before, so it sounds a bit weird, but I'll share something else with you that I haven't shared, is that photocopier that I had in my office for 20 people. That was Freddie the photocopier. So the lamppost, when in older years, became the photocopier. And I've always sat there and chatted away.
Did he keep repeating himself? Hey.
I kept chatting to myself. No, that was a good release for me. It just helped me. And if you see the film Castaway, when he talks to Wilson all the time, it's the same thing. He just gets it out. So sometimes if your excuse is, I don't have any money, I can't go and see anyone, I can't speak to anyone, I can't speak to my wife, I can't speak to my best friend, I can't speak to my parents, I can't speak to anyone, go and talk to a lamppost, because you'll feel a lot better afterwards. A lot better. It's just a thing, you know? Maybe it's rubbish, but for me it worked.
But in particular, it's the points that people say, and quite rightly so, talking really does help.
It does help.
If you have an inability, not you, if one has an inability to be able to verbalize how you're feeling to another through whatever fear, maybe it's fear of rejection, whether it be fear of being judged, fear of laughed at, whatever it may be that is holding you back from talking to someone else, talk to something inanimate. If you talk to something inanimate, you're still getting the words out. You're still actually releasing that energy that is holding you back. And this is coming from someone who's by no stretch of the imagination is a psychologist. You know, I'm not medically trained on this at all. But I know because I talk to myself for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
And believe me, it does make a difference. I've always said that with Men's Radio Station, even though I absolutely love what I do on this station, I love the opportunities to get, where, say, if Russ is not available, he wants me to cover for him, but even if I'm just in the studio each week with Russ presenting and me once in a while chipping in, it's highly therapeutic. And it is because it's talking, and it's actually releasing whatever has been troubling you, or talking about your thought process. It honestly is miraculous. It's sort of so simple and incredibly effective, and clearly it has been for you.
Yeah, I think sometimes I get hairs to stand on the back of my neck, and I had it just then when you were talking, because I was just thinking to myself,
That might be the fan. I'm sorry.
No. I was just thinking to myself as you were talking, I'm actually getting more out of this than you are. I'm probably getting more out of this than anyone that's listening, because even just talking about it now and talking about the things that I know that work and that can help people, I'm actually helping myself at the same time. I'd like to share something with you, if I may, about today. So I came up on the train feeling a little bit anxious about my tooth, which is still pounding away while I'm talking to you, but
you're doing good. Hang on in there.
but it's absolutely fine. So whenever I come up to London, I fill my pocket with pound coins, and whenever I see a homeless person, and again, I've never shared this with anyone, and I'm not saying it because I want people to think, oh, that's good. I'm just telling you because there's an example coming that actually helps me. I'm doing it because it helps me. So I come up with a pocket full of pound coins. Every time I see a homeless person, I look at them. I don't judge them. I don't care whether they're going to spend it on drugs or fags or whatever. I couldn't care less. I just give them a quid, because if I was sitting there and there were hundreds of people walking past when I was sitting there on the ground, freezing cold, I'd think, what, no one can spare a quid? So I just give them a quid, and that's the end of it. Now, I know.
Do you wait for thanks, or do you just drop
I don't
them
know.
off
I don't. Some people say thank you and some people don't. But I had such a moment outside this place, I can't tell you. So I know that when I'm feeling a little bit anxious about my tooth right now, and coming up on the train, I'm in this reactive state of mind where I'm judging myself continuously, and I'm coming from a place of fear. So I need to know, how can I come out of that state of mind? Okay. Now, when people say, oh, don't worry about it, that's even worse. And we can't flick a switch in our brain to stop worrying about something. It's really difficult. If someone can, tell me how you can do it. But this is another way of doing it. This is a brilliant way of doing it. You need to get into something called the creative mind. The creative mindset is when you actually do something else rather than worrying about yourself and all your problems. Is you might go for a walk, breathe in some fresh air. You might give something to somebody. Yeah, give a homeless guy a quid. Or you might decide that you're going to do something for somebody else, or you're going to get creative. And what that does is it puts you into a different state of mind. So I came up here, walked past Costa just round the corner, walked past two homeless blokes. In fact, both had no shoes on, strangely enough, and they looked bloody cold. So I went to Costa, bought an egg sandwich for me, 2 egg sandwiches and 2 tomato soups. Walked back, gave one to one and one to the other, and I gave them a £5 each as well. I only had a tenner on me. Gave them a £5 each. Okay, one got very emotional, and we actually had a conversation, and it's Valentine's Day today. So I just said, look, happy Valentine's. Okay. I think they're appreciative, but that's not what it's about for me. What it's about for me is it made me feel good giving to them, not a quid, but giving them something of value. Now I've given them something of value and I feel great. I'm in the creative state of mind. I can't remember what it was like to be anxious. I can't remember what it was like to place all those things on myself, because I'm in a different state of mind. So my actions have helped me flick a switch in my brain to go from feeling anxious and worried about everything to feeling great. So imagine if people could learn and understand how to change the state of mind, even if it's for an hour or two. But imagine if they can do it for weeks and months. I've learned how to do it over years.
It kind of sounds like a type of meditation, almost, what you're talking about.
Well, there's a whole... Well, I do meditate in the mornings, and if you want to go on a little tangent on meditation, I couldn't understand why people did it. I sort of couldn't work it all out. It all sounded a bit sort of weird to me. How can you just sit there and breathe and make funny noises and it's going to change your day? Anyway, well, and you got how long you got to do it for? Do you do it for a minute? Do you do it for an hour? I don't know. Anyway,
meditation doesn't necessarily come in the form of making, as you say, quote, funny noises. Yeah. Of course, it can be guided meditation as well, which of course is where you just listen to music and actually listen to a recorded voice, sometimes a live voice, just telling you different methods in which to relax. But absolutely.
Yeah. But that was my naivety. That's me looking at something with a label and then looking at it in the way that everyone's given me their opinions about meditation. Anyway, I do it 2 or 3 minutes in the morning. I do it when I'm in the shower. Just get loads of ideas in the shower. But what it does for me and what it does for people in business is, in business and in life, you get stuff that happens during the day that's really annoying and winds you up and you get angry about it. And then you sort of slip into another reactive state of mind or whatever you slip into. But what it does for me, and I know it does for a lot of others, when those problems come, they don't feel so bad. They don't feel so extreme. In fact, some of them you don't feel anything. So again, it's another thing thinking, that's really strange. Why don't I feel so weird about that as I normally do? Why am I angry of the way I'm normally angry? Why? I spent 3 minutes in the morning meditating in the shower. Well, to be honest with you, if I can get over that just by standing in the shower for 3 minutes, imagine how some people are so relaxed after doing it for an hour or half an hour. So I'd say the coaching that I like to do is I'm trying to help people really understand themselves and then get the best out of them that they can. And if that's in business, then great. If it's in life, then great. It's the most beautiful thing in the world, and I love it.
Do you know what? It's been absolutely fascinating meeting you today, Graeme Godfrey. Thank you so much for taking the time to come to Men's Radio Station and to speak to us. It really has been brilliant. If anyone wants more information about you, where do they go? Where do they find you?
They'll only find me on LinkedIn under Graeme Godfrey, on my website, which is passionateaboutbusiness.co.uk. I'm not really on social media or anything else. It's hard to find me.
Doesn't matter. It's good enough for us. Thank you very much. Will you come back again?
I'd love to come back.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to the next time you join us here on Men's Radio Station. It's Phil Dave in for Russ Kane with James Blake. The rest of the team will come back and unite for the last 15 minutes of today's programme right after this.